Welcome to Network Roundtable. This is officially the Valentine edition. This week's +1 superhero is Christine L. Bowen. And joining as her +1 sidekick is Jessica. We are going to be talking all about love and affection in business.
I remember visiting my grandfather's farm in Alberta, Canada. All around the farm they had hand pumps installed to provide water to the sheep, clean, and any number of other tasks this city slicker did not understand. I still remember the first time I tried to get water from that hand pump. I took a few pumps on the handle and nothing happened. My grandfather came over and patiently showed me how it would take a bit more work to prime the pump. As a small boy, that was a lot of work. Once the pipe was full and the pump was primed, it became easy to keep the water flowing. I stopped pumping and went to get my dad to show him what I had learned. When we got back to the pump, the pipe was cleared and I had to prime it all over again. Team Troopers hopes that the things you learn today will prime your pump. It's up to you to keep the inspiration flowing.
All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, yeah, we're missing part of our team this morning, and hopefully we'll get them back quickly. But we are going to go ahead and step into the first part of our show. I love this part of the show because, well, who better to tell us why somebody else is awesome than people who really know each other? Not that I don't know this week's guests quite well, but they know each other better than I know them. So, first section plus is the, now I forgot the name, Super Sidekick Admiration, followed by Sidekick Super Admiration. Now, if Christine and Jessica don't know what Super Sidekick Admiration and Sidekick Super Admiration are, it's quite simple. We're going to start off with the Super Sidekick Admiration. Christine, you will be telling us why you admire and who is Jessica Dewell. And then Jessica, you're going to be doing the Sidekick Super Admiration. You're going to tell us why you admire Christine and what's awesome about her. So, are you guys ready for this? Christine, thumbs up. Go ahead and take it away. Tell us why, as if we didn't already know, Jessica Dewell is amazing.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
Uh-oh.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can't hear you, even though you're unmuted.
Are you kidding? I can hear her.
I can't hear you anyway.
I can hear her too. I can hear you.
Hear me? Okay. Mm-hmm. Dennis, you have the love gremlin now.
He's contagious.
Okay, well, I'm trusting that if you both can hear me, Leslie, Jess, then the audience can hear me. So I'm going to continue until Dennis works it out. So I'm happy to be here. Happy Love Day. Happy Love Week. My philosophy is Love 365, but we'll get into that in the conversation. Jess Dewell is amazing because I'm going to put her, if it's even possible, to capture her in 3 words. She is sharp. She is funny. The better word, I guess, would be joyful. And she's definitely a loving person. She has shown those 3 qualities towards me as well as many, many people across the plus and beyond. So those are the 3 words I would use to describe Jess. Sharp, joyful, and loving.
Thank you. I just want to reach through this computer and give you a great big hug. I want to do that all the time anyway. So I guess I'll just jump right in.
Guys, just so you know, I can't hear a single thing. I'm working on it. You guys are going to have to run this show for a while. I don't know when I'm supposed to respond or what I'm supposed to respond to. I can't hear a single thing from you guys. I can tell you guys are communicating. So enjoy the show while I try and figure out what's going on.
Brilliant. Well, let's just take it away. So now it'll be my turn. I agree, Christine. Talk about a great week and a very full week. Sometimes love trying, but sometimes also this is one of those moments this week that I've really been looking forward to because it not only is it always love rich, we get to talk about it today. So Christine, why I love you? Why do I love you? Let me count the ways. Oh wait, no, somebody else said that. I'm not going to worry about that. Christine, it's a word you use of yourself, and it's authenticity. You show up with all heart, and you are so thoughtful. And in that thoughtfulness, somehow, no matter what's going on, from the outside, you are incredibly composed. And that whole idea of create, live, be, and showing up with heart, it's almost like you bring this sense of solidness with you, this groundedness that is different than anybody else's groundedness that I have ever. And what I see coming from that is your clarity. You're willing to take the time to be clear about what you want and be able to hold the space for others so that they can also gain clarity. That's just a little bit of why I absolutely positively love Christine.
Wow. Thank you, honey. I love you.
Mwah.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. I really would have loved to hear that, and I am definitely going to be going back and re-listening to it. But I lost all audio contact and had to reboot. Our Google Gremlins. What did we call today's gremlin, the one that Leslie's dealing with?
Love gremlin.
Leslie's love gremlin. Yes. We've got a strange sound that comes sometimes from Leslie. You guys will probably hear it during the show. But
hopefully not. I don't hear it anymore.
Yeah, it seems to have gotten better, apparently. Maybe it had something to do with whatever caused me to disappear or have to disappear.
Yep. I think it came over to visit you.
It's now Dennis's love gremlin.
That's right. We're just sharing the love.
And that's what today's show is all about. We are going to share the love. I'm really quite excited about this because, well, the concept of talking about love in business seems like a train wreck waiting to happen, or a lawsuit waiting to happen. And I think that we're going to uncover ways to bust that myth wide open. I think it's not only possible to have love in work, I think it's necessary, and that's what we're going to try and find out in today's episode. So, oh yay, we've got Marisa here.
Hi.
This is fantastic news. So, this is week one of something that doesn't even have a name yet. We are going to, as soon as she's got audio, do exactly the same thing we just did with these Super Sidekick Admiration and Sidekick Super Admiration. We're going to allow our co-hosts to do this. It happened by mistake last week. The audience loved it, and Marisa just dropped out, so maybe it won't happen.
Oh, well.
Oh, well. Oh, and she's back. All right, what we're going to do is we'll do that later in the show. Let's get started with the first section of this week's show, which is, of course, the history of the word love. And I know that Leslie has worked late on these, creating some really great questions. So let's go ahead and open the round table up and get talking about love.
Great. Well, I wasn't sure where to go with this. History of love. To me, love began with life, because life is love. And I know some people believe that some primordial cell split and began life, and we crawled out of the water, and here we are. I don't believe that. I just think there's no way that something as beautiful as life could come from something like that, although I believe in natural laws. I believe that we were sourced from love, and that is what fuels us and what fuels life altogether. So when I was thinking about this, that's kind of where I was coming from, is where did love begin? And I believe it began with life. So that's why my first question is, where did your awareness of love first begin? So I'll ask each of you that. Should we start with, I don't know the proper etiquette.
There is no proper etiquette. So
perfect. I love no proper etiquette. So Christine, let's hear what you have to say. What or where did your own first awareness of love begin?
Wow. First, I have to say I absolutely am on the same page as you in terms of the history of love. To me, life is love, and love literally is what makes the world go round. My first awareness of love, definitely as a child. You know, my mom and my dad loved me dearly. I was raised in a household of love, and even though they got divorced I was at a very young age. I was 8. They still showed love toward each other and toward me and my brother at the time. So I was definitely raised in a loving environment. In terms of being an adult and coming into awareness of love, which I hope I'm not jumping too far, that came with a self-discovery process, but I'll stick a pin there. My awareness of love has been lifelong, thanks to my mom especially.
Well, I can tell that you love your mom from your comments on the "Who Are You?" You know, we've made some really touching comments about her in the pre-show. So I love that too. And I think so many of us learn from that. And I think even those that don't come from a situation like that somehow find that within themselves. And so I'd like to ask you the same question, Jess. What was your first awareness of love?
Okay, this might sound really strange, but even as a young age, I saw the light in every single person that I met. And along a similar vein, I'm a believer that we are all stardust. And there's nothing but love and stardust. And we have this range of emotions that we get to experience, some self-learned, some peer pressure type things, but then there are these innate things where we just know, and in that utter knowing. And so when I was a little girl, I used to run around and just hug people and smile at them just to get smiles back. And in that each smile, I knew there was love everywhere.
I love that. Maybe because I feel the same way. To me, whenever I meet somebody new, it's like I am going through a new open doorway that is full of possibility and joy and all the wonderful things that come with somebody new and wonderful coming into your life. So I love that from you as well. You know, our next question was there a time in your life where you realized that you had grown out of self-love and into love on a larger scale? And if you think about it, when we're little babies, you know, I love that you were saying you run around and you're hugging everybody, you know, because children are so full of that inhibition and that joy. But by the same token, when we were really young, it was kind of all about us, right? Even doing that, it was about, oh, I love this person, I'm going to give them a hug, you know, but it makes me feel good. But I think as we grow, then we get to that point where we start being willing to put other people first and get outside of ourselves. And so that's kind of where that question was coming from, was, you know, when did you realize that other people were kind of more important than yourself? So Jess, let's start with you since you're up on the screen.
All right. I'm going to also bring in the world takes all kinds. So even though we're kids and we do go through that phase of it is all about us, and I'm learning how to show these emotions and how do people react to me when I have these emotions, we also have the people that never learn that, or it's been snuffed so far down that the light is so small, and it takes those people a long time. So I did go through a period where I had forgotten the idea of what it means to love and external ideas of types of love and things like that. And so I would say my self-discovery now as an adult, probably within the last 5 to 6 years, is when I have gone all the way back and tapped into that the childlike love that I remember from so many years ago, and how to bring that out. And I'll tell you, sometimes it's a constant challenge to have that around you all the time when there's so much, and every single one of us goes through this, there's so much pulling at us, and we have to remember all the different elements of self-love. So we have to kind of, to love everybody and give everybody else, we have to keep that fountain open like a 3-year-old. Yet we also, like a 3-year-old, to love as much as we can, we do have to put ourselves first. We have to be a little selfish with ourselves so that we never run dry, so we don't snuff ourselves out, because we have that challenge too. So I'm on that journey right now.
Well, I love that. And I think that that's a good example of, you can't lift someone else to higher ground unless you're on higher ground already yourself, right? And I think that that's where some of that, if you want to call it self-love, comes in, that where we don't have anything to give if we don't keep our own cup full and we don't keep that joyful love. And I love you bringing the childlike love into it, because to me that childlike love, that love we have when we're little, or when we look at our children or our grandchildren or even little children, if we're in the park or somewhere like that, they are just so full of enthusiasm and passion and just joyful energy. So I think that that's a really good example. And I love also that you talked about how love sometimes can kind of ebb and flow too, right? And that if we didn't have those low points, then sometimes we don't appreciate the high points. And
Absolutely.
So I think that, so I think that that's a really important thing for people to understand, is that we're all going to have those. And so we're going to get to some of my future questions, how maybe we can, when we're in those low points, how we can bring ourselves back to the joyful points where we're filled with love. So Christine, what was the point where you realized that there was something larger than just selfish love?
Yeah. Well, now everyone will know why Jess is my superhero sidekick, because we're so on the same page with our answers. So I'll put my own spin on it. Even though I was raised in a loving household, not unlike anyone else, you grow up with insecurities and you play yourself down, your strengths, and developing self-love was definitely a process for me. I don't have any biological children. I believe that motherhood is a type of love that cannot even be put into words. I'm sure mothers would agree with that.
Absolutely.
So not being a mother, I don't regret that choice, because I don't believe that having a child of my own was my path. I'm grateful to have children through my husband from his previous marriage, so I have experienced that kind of love. But developing self-love for me came in quotes later in life. My guide for living actually is the foundation of, I'm going to say my brand, but my brand is me. Hey folks, newsflash, your brand is you. So the foundation of my life, one of the cornerstones, it's just two. One is faith and the other is love. I literally decided one day to test the golden rule. I thought, okay, love others as I love myself. Let me test this out. But what stood out to me when I first started to study that one scripture was, well, I have to love myself first. And I didn't know who I was. I didn't know, and I wasn't speaking to myself as a loving person. I'd call myself dummy or idiot, or look at what you did, you stupid idiot. I just keep calling myself all these names. We do it all the time unconsciously. And so I made a decision after reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I decided to start listening and observing my thoughts, especially toward myself. And that's where the process began. And I found that the more I courted myself and the more I started to honor myself and love myself, as Jess said, putting myself first, it allowed me to love others more compassionately. It allowed me to be more patient with other people. And I'm like you, Leslie, when I meet a new person, it's a clean slate. One of my favorite selfie quotes is, Never assume who someone is. Always allow them to show you who they are. A lot of us, we have these preconceived ideas of who someone is based on how they look, their gender, their ethnic background. You know, we have all of these preconceived notions. I know I'm guilty of that. So over time, as I learned how to love myself, it helped me learn how to love other people. And I realized that actually it is love that is the foundation of everything. So that's why it's one of my core values.
I love that. And it led right into our next question.
Oh, okay. You got muted, so if you can go back up to the top and click the unmute and finish your question. We only heard the very beginning of it. And in fact, I don't even see her. I see her grayed out, like Cameraman app has done that. Oh, man. Okay.
It's just you and I, Jess.
It might be. So what do you think her question was going to be?
I'm not sure.
Weird. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can bring her back, though.
The gremlins are out. Woohoo! I'm going back to the notes to see if I can.
Wow. Try reload. Well, yeah, try reloading yourself, Leslie. Do you know how to do that? Probably not. Crap, I don't know what just happened. We've got the questions, though. Actually, she emailed them to me, so give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves while I look up her questions and she tries to get back on board.
Well, I see the next one while you're pulling it all up because I have it in the chat.
Great.
Oh, good.
Okay.
The next question is, how did that change your life and your perception of the world? And that's in relation to the last question, seeing love on a larger scale outside of ourselves. So how did it change our lives and our perception of the world? So Jess, you go first.
Okay. There's a quote that I love, and I do not remember who said it, that says, be the light or be the mirror that reflects it. And I think in different parts of our lives, sometimes even within each day or moment to moment, we get to be both. We have this light that is internally inside of us that shines bright. And sometimes, instead of shining so bright, we actually can help others see the light that they have. And so we get to help other people see how the light in them, how bright it is, what they're as, being able to shine bright and work towards our own goals and our own paths. And that's one of the things that I love about the fact that we are such really social creatures. We could go live by ourselves, but that is a very lonely experience, and there is no growth opportunity, there is no challenge, and there's no real sense of, how do I know? Where are my boundaries today? What might I bump up against to learn from?
Well, I'm back.
Answer. Welcome back.
Yes, I don't know what happened either. I wasn't even touching anything. So that gremlin's busy today. So I had to go out and come back in. So I don't know if you got to the current question, which was, when you see others and the world through the lens of love, how does that impact your life? Uh-oh.
Okay, Leslie, we asked a different question, but...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, good. Okay.
Oh,
it's no worries. It's no worries. The question that we put on the table, we were trying to fill into your shoes, which is no easy feat because you are wonderful. The question that I posed to Jess was, how did that change your life and your perception of the world?
Perfect.
And
perfect.
I love what she shared about being the light and being the mirror for others. And my spin on that, and again, this is why Jess is here with me on the show today, because we resonate on so many different levels with each other. And for me, my mom raised me to love others unconditionally. Give someone the shirt off your back. She's that type of a person. She will actually put herself last, which is a whole different conversation. We were talking about putting ourselves first, and she's learning through that process as well as we speak. But I've always been someone to give until I'm depleted. And one of the lessons that I have learned, really, really learned over the past few years, especially so last year was a pivotal year for me, was learning how to receive love from others. Jess has been one of those people. I cry on every HOA. I'm not going to cry today, right? Yeah, Jess, when we met, it was a clean slate. And for me, that's rare. It's rare for someone to meet me and not have some preconceived idea of who I am or notion. And she allowed me to see more clearly my brilliance and my light. And that's what I love so much about her. She doesn't only do that for me, she does that for everyone that crosses her path. She finds some way, authentically, to let that person shine. And to me, that is the ultimate display of love, is, like she says, being a mirror to the light that everyone is. So.
That's a beautiful thing. I have to go back and watch it so I don't miss that comment. But I completely agree with you, and I think that that comes a lot from your previous comment of, number one, being conscious of that little voice in our head, because we do tend to beat ourselves up. I think especially at the fast pace the world goes right now, there's so much expected of us. And it gets exhausting sometimes trying to keep up with not only everybody else's expectations, but our own of ourselves. And that little head can get pretty out of hand sometimes. And so I think when we have the gift of people like Jess or people like you, or in my case, I can tell Maurice is listening. It looks like her video's not working, but she came into my life too during one of those periods that, you know, you're beating yourself up. I'm still in that a little bit. I'm in one of those where I'm on my way back up, but because I'm doing something new and struggling with some of the things I'm trying to learn. But I love it. But she came into my life and she's taught me so much about generosity, and just that generosity of spirit where she's just there. She's just has this lovely grounding energy like you do, Christine. You know, Jess has this incredible effervescent energy about her, and yet you are this calming energy. And I really believe that we attract the people we need most into our lives at the right time. And, you know, I'm grateful to be on this because I was in the energy of, I'm so busy, Dennis, I just don't have time. You know, I just don't have time with my plate so full. And yet, when I watched one of the episodes, it was just such a beautiful energy. And just being with you guys here today, things like that, we've got to pay attention when love is trying to get into our hearts, when we are given those gifts, and not be too busy that they just go by the wayside. So grateful for you guys in my life and for people and God that brings people into our lives like that at just the perfect time, because it does change us and it changes our lives, right?
Definitely.
So
You said a word. You said a word, busy. And there are a lot of things I am, but as soon as the word busy comes out of my mouth, I'm like, whoa. What do you know? How do I get rid of stuff? I want a full, enriching, crazy awesome, crazy hard, crazy challenging, crazy love-filled life. But as soon as it turns busy, there's a problem.
yes.
And so, everything you shared, I totally get it. I totally get it. I actually, in the last year, similar to what you just described, and wow, isn't it amazing how they come at the right time when we're supposed to learn something. And
absolutely.
It always comes back to either self-love or the love of those around us, or how we are showing up to receive or give the love.
Absolutely. And I think it completely starts with consciousness, you know, and I think what Christine mentioned, reading the book The Power of Now, that is so powerful. And I think that that's something that we can do consciously, and I think that's one of our questions down the road, but to bring ourselves back to that all the time. And sometimes those people in our lives are reminders of that. But a lot of times we've also got to make sure we remind ourselves of that just by bringing ourselves back to the moment, away from that busyness and the chaos that sometimes we surround ourselves with, to that little pool of serenity of coming back to that moment and saying, how am I feeling right now? And how do I want to feel? And then go in that direction, right?
And do you know that can happen anywhere?
Absolutely.
This morning for me, it was brushing. Yesterday, it was, I have this cool, I mean, and this comes in self-care. I'm like, oh, I get to brush my teeth today. This is so amazing. Isn't that, it's kind of weird, but at the same point in time, you know, relishing those teeny tiny tasks make finding the fun or the quirky or the love and everything else a little bit easier to find.
Absolutely. And oh, go ahead, Christine.
Sorry, I had a thought as you were speaking too about being busy, and it brought to mind a quote by Deepak Chopra. Perhaps why I haven't been described as grounded and calm so much since just the beginning of this year. I appreciate it. It's something you have to work towards. I feel frazzled, so if the exterior is calm, cool, and collected, thank you. But what keeps me grounded is meditation, having those still moments. And if you feel busy, like Jess said, that is a signal. If those words are coming out of our mouth or in our thoughts, that is a signal to stop. And Deepak Chopra says, everyone should meditate at least 20 minutes a day. And if you're too busy, you should meditate for 2 hours. And that is so freaking true. Because I find that when I meditate, my days flow. The right people come into my experience. The right opportunities show up. The right thoughts are coming out of my head. When I don't meditate, I'm a basket case. Jess knows this behind the scenes. I'm a basket case. She's one of my rocks. And, you know, that's the beauty of love, is you're able to have those people in your life, like you said, Leslie, when those times are you're down here and you're like, help, you know, there are people there that can help build you up and bring you back up. So I love what you shared on that.
Yeah, and I think it's important to realize too that we do attract those people into our lives as we need them, but I do think that it does take being conscious, you know, so that you can remind yourself, whoa, I'm in that dark space again, you know, what am I grateful for? I use gratitude a lot. And I mean, sometimes it can be, wow, I'm just so grateful that I have eyelashes. Whatever it might be, you know, it can be the tiniest little things. I'm so grateful for this small little grace today in this moment. And that as we do have that thought, then that brings another one that's more similar to that. And then as we build on that, we have another one similar to that. And, you know, when we're in a place where we're struggling with finding those things ourselves, it's just the most wonderful thing in the world to have those people in our lives that we can go lean on and have, like you say, be our rock when we need that little bit of help, or that mirror to show us that, yeah, we do have light, because that's so important, because as we share our light, light grows, and then other people can feel more of that, and so on. And so I think that everything that you both have said leads to that it is a conscious choice, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The meditation does bring clarity. I believe, for me, my natural practice is meditation. A lot of individuals express that they have difficulties meditating, but I believe we can meditate in different ways to raise our consciousness and our connection to the source of love. That, for me, was the first lesson I had to learn, is receiving love from above. And once I can receive that love and be grateful for it every day, that provides me with the clarity and consciousness and awareness for my natural environment. So if it's not a physical meditation where you're sitting down for 15, 20 minutes. It's a walk with nature, right, Nicole? She's in the audience. She loves nature. And nature, to me, is one of the best ways to stay grounded, stay connected, stay conscious, stay clear, and fill your heart with gratitude so that you can express that throughout the day.
I completely agree. I live somewhere where I have this incredible view. And when I just get in that point where the busyness is overtaking me, I just go sit out on my deck, no matter what time of the year, and I have this 360-degree view of Lone Peak and Mount Timpanogos and Utah Lake, and it's just the healing that comes from that is just incredible. So I agree. Finding those tools that help bring us back to love are really important, and nature is one of them. I'm sure you've had that experience too, Jess.
I do. I'm actually looking for my energy spot at the house I live in now. When in our last home, I stumbled across this place in our yard where every time I walked through it, I was zapped with this amazing energy. So when I was feeling down, I would go out there and I'd just sit for a minute or 2 or 10 or hours, whatever I needed, and get this amazing refill, if you will. I haven't found that on the property that we live on now, but I have a bigger property, so it's probably going to take me a few years. You know, I'm listening to all of this, and I love every single piece of the conversation, and I want to toss in a question. When we're talking about business, and we all, you know, we buy our groceries at big chain stores. We might shop at very price-conscious oriented stores. We might shop for quality. We might do all of these things. Well, businesses are in this world to make money, but they're also in this world to support the community in some way. And sometimes we as people, we miss that connection. And sometimes companies actually just really are missing the boat, right? We totally have to say there are some companies that miss the boat. But a lot of companies might be perceived as missing the boat when they really don't. They're just not people, so they don't get to experience love from above. It's up to the people in the organization to bring that to the table. And I think what we're talking about really applies and is very scalable in that sense, that every single person in a business, we're in it to make money. We're in it to create value. We're in it to give back to our community. You know, give plus receive equals value, and that can mean a lot of different things. But when a company is perceived to miss it, the cool thing is we have choices. But if the company, you know, sometimes we choose to work with a company because of what they stand for, and then we learn how cool the people are within a company. And so I don't want to forget about the entities and the organizations that really do fuel our commerce engine, if you will, the whole platform which allows us to exist and have some sort of value in this particular time and place in the world.
Yeah, I think you're jumping us ahead to to the business model.
Oh, sorry.
And how that affects it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. And just little things. Like I know there was a big competition among grocery stores in this one market, and the management said, you know what, we want you to, for the next month, greet everybody that comes in by name. Learn their name. You're taking their credit card, you're seeing their checks. We want you to greet them by name. And they found that their business just went up hugely just from doing that one simple little thing. And not only did business go up, but like you were saying, the energy that's created within that. And sometimes it's not just money, it's abundance, which encompasses so much more than just the financial reward, right? Christine?
And that's something that we get as humans, but businesses don't experience abundance like we do. And so the people who are running the business, they have to bring their heart, just like what you're saying, because it is about abundance. I agree.
Absolutely. I'm on the same page with you, Leslie, and I'm glad Jess brought this up, which is another thing I love about her, is she's all about business. She is, and she keeps me on my toes when it comes to business. What I love about companies like Starbucks, even Google, Huffington Post, You know, these are companies where the people at the top, let's just put it in that category, have made it their business to make people their business. And one of my favorite selfie quotes is, if we realize the impact that building relationships have on our business, we will make relationship building our business. Because as human beings, even though these are companies, if the people at the top are creating that culture, first of all, they're practicing it. They're practicing self-love, consciousness, and things like this. That translates and spills over into business, into their companies, which it develops a culture. And like you say, Leslie, the customers or the clients experience that. They feel it. And that's the thing about love. I believe love is absolutely a part of business because love is the foundation of life.
Yes.
We're not speaking of romantic love, of course. We're speaking of just the human desire and innate need to feel loved, to feel compassion, to feel respected. And as individuals going into any establishment, we want to feel that way. Even if we're just a speck on their list of clientele, we want to feel like we're the most important person for that business. So I believe that companies that make it their business to exude this kind of quality of love and all the derivatives thereof are the companies that soar. Like you say, Leslie, abundance is much greater than money. I believe that these are the companies where they're on the map, if you will, as opposed to XYZ company. You're like, who, what, where? I believe the companies that are driving this type of culture are the companies that are leading the way for business in the future.
I completely agree, because I also think that we all innately want to be part of something. We want to be part of something that makes life more meaningful. And so I think if we can build our businesses around a culture of that, and you know, one of my questions was what could happen in your business if it became more heart-centered? And to me, the possibilities are unlimited. They're endless, because as we put that love out there, it comes back to us tenfold in so many different ways. And as we are part, and choose to be part of doing business with companies that are coming from a place of love and doing things that are more meaningful, as well as doing that ourselves, we create more of it, right? So I think your point is so well taken. Absolutely. Jess?
I love it. I think it's great, and I think if we start from a heart-centered place, I totally agree with both of you that the possibilities are endless. And I'll probably take a tangent here, because what pops up in my brain is, so who are we selling to? Are we selling people like ourselves? Are we trying to build relationships with people like us? Or are we trying to support something larger in our community and celebrate our differences? And there is no right answer. There is no right answer to that. That's going to be something that it's going to depend on where we're at on our own self journey, where we are with loving ourselves, and how we see us being able to provide value, to create a business, and to actually be able to effectively do all the pieces that are necessary in business, from the books to the selling to the relationships to the follow-up to the whatever it is, the market awareness, all that good stuff. It comes from who the person who is leading. And one thing that I really liked what Christine was sharing about the companies that she chose, some of the companies that come to mind for me are things like, then they're local companies here in the Northwest. One is Soaring Heart, and they actually make bedding and pillows and mattresses. And another one called Precor, which is a fitness company. And they do the same thing, and they're at a smaller scale. One of the things that I see is that type of business, that quality, we're actually starting as consumers, I think, to choose quality over cost. We're not at the tipping point yet, but we are definitely, as a society, moving that way. And so the businesses that are only existing in that fast and cheap category, if you will, they're going to have the hardest time in maybe 5, probably 10, definitely 15 years, as our requirements and how we can is important continues to evolve.
Right, and I think that that can be just part of natural law, right? I think when you talk about in our businesses selling, I always think of it more in terms of sharing. What can I share that's going to have value for somebody else? And the other part of that is that I believe that as we come from a place of love in everything that we do, including and especially in our businesses, because that fuels everything else in our lives, that if we will share our passion for what we're doing, and if it truly is in our heart and meaningful to us, and we're sharing that with others, we're also going to attract the people into our businesses and into our lives that are going to create more of that abundance on every level. So rather than thinking, I mean, none of us want to do business with people that we don't enjoy, right? And so I think if we are always coming from a heart-centered place, that those people are naturally just going to kind of fall away out of our experience. And the people that that we want to do business with are going to fill that space up.
Agreed.
Oh. I'm sitting here like now I have Google eyes for Leslie because I'm loving what you're hearing because I'm totally on the same page. It reminds me of a quote by Aristotle, one of my favorites, where your talent intersects with the needs of the world, therein lies your vocation. I believe that, yes, we can choose a product. Now I'm dialing it back down to entrepreneurship, solopreneurs, and such, because I believe that is the majority of the community that Network Roundtable serves. You know, when we choose a product or we say, okay, I'm going to do this because so-and-so's making money, sure, yeah, and I'm going to sell it. Yeah, you'll make money. But will you actually receive the abundance that you could receive if you took those natural gifts and talents? And Jess, we had this conversation last week on CLB Live, the power of purpose. When you're on purpose and you're following that passion that drives you, the natural law goes into effect, the law of attraction. You're going to repel the people that are not for you or serving you, or vice versa, and attract the right people into your experience. I've found that leading my business from the heart has opened up much grander, much greater opportunities than I would have ever imagined or devised. I never thought I would be having regular appearances and hosting my own HOA on web TV. Hello? That was nowhere in my game plan. But apparently it's something that is a part of my purpose. I still don't have that bigger picture, but I do know that I just allow that light to shine through me and to other people. And from that, I believe the abundance comes. I truly do.
And it's a culture thing. In a business, even if it's a business of one, it is a culture thing. And so how we approach each of the areas that we need to think about in our business, if our mindset is fixed versus our mindset of growth. By the way, that comes from a book I'm reading called Mindset. And it's the psychology of success and how we think. And some of us are always in the fixed mindset. Some of us are always in the growth mindset. Turns out, as I'm reading this book and just kind of doing a self-evaluation, I'm all over the board. It turns out the things that, Christine mentioned a word earlier, insecurities. I am very fixed mindset oriented around my insecurities, yet I'm very growth and opportunity oriented around other things. And so I find that really neat, and that the language that we use, and something, if people who are watching this show with us right now, we all live and breathe the same idea. People who are new to the show and they come across this, might be like, wow, what is this that they're actually talking about? And it's a mindset, and it's a mindset of we have everything it takes. We can be whatever we want. We can go after anything that our heart desires once we make the decision to do so, as long as we are open to receiving, and that is more of a growth type of mindset. So it's where effort matters. It's where practice matters. It's where repetition of things to continue to increase the nuances of the skill that really make a difference, and that's what takes us from the good to great, which is actually the title of another awesome book that I absolutely love about business. But it's that tipping point where it opens up these new faucets, if you will, and the more faucets that we have going, the harder it is to keep any of that water contained.
Absolutely.
The end that way.
If I could piggyback before I lose my thought, if that's okay, on Jess, because this is why she's my superhero sidekick. She's my shiro. See, I did all that dancing and lost my thought. Totally lost it. So Leslie, you go and it'll come back.
It will come back, I know. No, I love, Jess, how you're applying those things to business. I was just the other day reading, just a couple of days ago, Think and Grow Rich Again. And I haven't read that in years. And so she's going to pull it off her bookshelf. I love it. So I had just finished something else, and I was riding the bike in the morning, and I wanted something inspirational, but not something that I had to read a whole bunch of right now because I can get sucked into that. So I pulled that up on my Nook, and I was reading that while I was on the exercise bike. And the first chapter is all about what you were talking about, Jess. It's about, number one, finding the desire, that all-consuming passion and desire for whatever your purpose is, and then making the decision to be 100% committed and all in. Because if we will do that, the little voices in our heads and all of those things that can stop us just fall away. They just completely fall away from us so that we can have miracles happen in our lives, right? Because when we're in that abundance mentality and full of that passion and that excitement and that joy in what we're doing and that sense of purpose, everything comes like magic, right?
Amen to that.
Oh, yeah.
I remember my thought.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah,
Yay.
I know. So I know we're coming up to closing thoughts. So I wanted to share that in order for all of that to happen, because the Create Live Be message is mindset. Mindset drives everything. And for me, having a faith mindset and a love mindset, when you have those two, you're unstoppable. There's nothing that's impossible. But at the same time, honing it back to this theme today, love and affection, we have to believe that we are worthy of abundance. We have to believe that, or love ourselves enough to commit to that kind of mindset. Is it going to be a perfect thing where every day we're like on 100 and performing at optimum? No. But that's why we have people around us that help build us up when we're down and vice versa. So self-love is critical to any of what we just shared the last 15, 20 minutes to transpire. We have to love ourselves enough to say, I deserve this. I was gifted this, actually, and now it's my chance to uncover it and share it with the world. That, to me, is what abundance is about, and self-love.
I completely agree. And I think that, again, it starts on the micro level of being aware and conscious of our own thoughts. And as we can build on that and realize, oh, I'm not being very nice to myself right now, and shift to reminding yourself of something wonderful about yourself or something wonderful about life, and then the next thought, and then the next thought, and the next thought comes. And by the same token, in that microcosm of our own lives, and like you were saying, dialing it down to how can we affect the world and change the world individually. It starts there, and it grows, and it has that ripple effect. And so in our own businesses and our own lives, if we can focus on now, what we can do today, being in that abundant mindset, and move forward collaborating and drawing those people to us that will help us grow our businesses, whether they're customers or clients or partners or whatever that might be, that anything is possible. Anything is possible with love. Absolutely. And that's the thing to remember, and to tap into that energy of possibility and knowing that with love and what that brings into your life, absolutely everything and anything is possible.
Okay, you're in my superhero camp officially.
Right? I know. Leslie's awesome.
Oh, you guys are awesome. I'm so grateful that Dennis said, you're going to do this. You committed to it.
Nice.
Thank you, Dennis. I love you too.
You're welcome. I gotta say, I think the quality of a Network Roundtable show is measured by the number of words Dennis says. The fewer the words, the better the show.
I don't know if I would agree with that, but
this show was off the hook. You guys really just nailed this subject. It was great. So we have two more little sections before we close up. Closing thoughts, and we will be going down closing thoughts in this order: Christine, Jessica, Leslie, and then myself. And then one of my favorite parts, because I just think this name is so cool, the very last thing we do every week, shameless self-promotion, where we each get to promote something, anything, whatever it is. So, and we'll follow the same order. So, Christine, take it away, closing thoughts.
Okay, my closing thoughts. First of all, I totally enjoyed today's show. I love you, Leslie. Thank you for being here and playing full out. I absolutely adore you. Jess, thank you for saying yes, not just to being on the show, but just saying yes to who you are and yes to being in my life. Dennis, you are a treasure, honey. I love you. I love you from the day we met. Okay? So don't downplay your significance in Network Roundtable. I know you're just joking, but at the same time, I absolutely love the theme of this season, core values. I believe it's needed, and just God bless you for doing this. My closing thoughts is one of my favorite passages. It normally sits on my wall, but I'm moving, so it's, of course, not there right now. But it's by Marianne Williamson, and it's a return to love. And it's one of my favorite passages because it deals with self-love. And I'm just going to read it directly so I don't mess it up. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So it's not a matter of how you are here to serve the world, it's just a matter of when, and it can happen right now. Love and light.
Wonderful, thank you. That is an amazing quote. I love. There's a number of videos that have been made around that quote. I've seen 4 or 5 of them with music playing in the background, and every last one of them brings me to tears. So thank you. That's a perfect quote for today's show. Jess.
Well, that's why she is the superhero of today. Right there. Everything that she just said. I appreciate the time and the energy of each of you guys today, because through the addition of each one of us, that's what will leave us with what can we think about after the fact, and how can we come back to this and think about it when we need it as a source of inspiration and as a resource for permission. because if somebody is not doing anything that we're talking about today, the first thing that's going to happen when we say, okay, I'm going to lead with my heart and I'm going to do nothing but be open and receive, we might get a lot of garbage because we're used to accepting that garbage, and now we actually get to see the amount of garbage we allow around ourselves and how it might have actually helped diminish our own internal light. It could come from anywhere. It could come from your family. It could come from your friends. It could come from your work. It could come from your network. We don't know. We don't know until we do it. And it's when we feel that, we have to own up to our own self and say, am I going to allow this to continue to happen to me? And so when I think about love, and when I think about affection, and when I think about how that relates to us showing up in the world, we're consciously choosing. And when we get the garbage, or see the garbage, or feel the garbage, whatever it might be for each one of us, we have to go, okay, it's garbage. But you know what? Typically that garbage is coming from the way somebody else feels, not because it's not actually who we are. And so we get to have this process of evolution of whatever we need it to be. And maybe we're not ready. Maybe we're not ready to make that separation. All I know is, for me personally, when I receive that garbage, I'm like, okay, there's a little extra love that needs to go there, which means, like today, I might brush my teeth more. Going back to what is bringing me joy, and how do I go find that joy? Because the more vulnerable we are, the more open we are, the more likely we will see and feel and hear things that don't feel good. Yet, by having that feeling, we know what those triggers are and can consciously move and shift our lens and go to someplace else and try something different. And that's where our growth happens, is we're always finding the people that can support us, that can pull us up, that we can pull up, depending on where each of us is. And knowing that there is going to be hurt in that journey. It's not all peaches and cream and fun and stuff, but the bigger picture is that. So when you hear us talking about this, we take all that stuff and go, it happens. But here's where our opportunity is. And that's something that I really appreciate from each one of you. And what I've taken away today is that, yeah, as hard as life can be, how cool is it that our overarching theme happens to be love, I'll even say it, self-centeredness, and an inner joy. And I know that actually, for me, it starts with a self-trust, knowing a self-trust that I can love, that I can give, that I can bring value.
Oh, so much good stuff. So much good stuff. I want to just say that, yes, as we open... Oh, do you guys hear all that feedback too? Darn.
No.
Okay, good.
It's Leslie's love gremlin.
It is. That little pesky fellow. Anyway, what I wanted to say, when you were talking about when you open yourself up to receiving, that you can get the bad stuff with the good stuff, it kind of took me back to where, with my kids, one of the things that I always told them when they were little, because, you know, especially when you're little, or when you're teenagers, and very much especially when you're teenagers, you kind of wear your heart in your sleeve and you can get hurt a lot, right? Our egos and our hearts are really just open at that point to being hurt. And one of the things I tried real hard to teach my children is that, you know what, 99% of the time, it's not about you. It's never about you. It's what that person's going through. And so never take it personally. Just allow it, and then step back and say, you know what, say to yourself, you know what, I don't know what that person's going through. They must be in a lot of pain. There must be something that they're struggling with that's really hard. And allow that, God, I can't believe I'm crying. Allow that compassion to well up in your heart and your soul, and you will love that person, even though they might have said something hurtful or done something hurtful. If you can just step back and say, boy, they did this because of something difficult they're dealing with, then you cannot take that personal, and it can be turned into something that is part of that unconditional love that we all want to live our lives with. And I'm grateful for my parents, because that's one of the gifts I think they gave me, is teaching me to love unconditionally, no matter what. And if we can do that when some of that yucky stuff comes into our lives, to just step back and feel compassion for that person, but not take that on as having anything to do with us, then we're going to be so much further ahead. And as we feel that love, it's amazing how it can soften the hearts of those people. Sometimes it doesn't, but it doesn't matter, because you are taking that and dealing with it in a way that you can still have that joy and that love in your life. I absolutely love, you guys are my sisters. Christine, that is one of my all-time favorite quotes. It is so incredibly powerful and so important that we remember that. And when we're mentioning books, The Four Agreements was one of those books that came to me at a time when it was a real eye-opener that re-emphasized what I was just talking about. And I think if we can just realize that we're all on this journey, we are all doing the best that we can, and if we can focus on that, if we live the golden rule and we treat other people the way that we want them to treat us, and if they don't treat us that way, have compassion on them for what they might be going through in their lives, and choose the joy and the love to move forward in, because it will draw more of that to you. Your heart will grow, the abundance in your life will grow, your business will grow, it will affect everything in your life in an incredible way. And anything is possible. So those are my closing thoughts. Thank you to all of you.
I don't know if you know this, Leslie, because you're learning the ropes here on the Plus, but Kristen Drysdale has put up a quote post already of something you just said in your closing thoughts. So she created a quote picture that says, "When you are in the abundance of love, everything is possible." Leslie wags that. So.
Thank you. That's exactly how I feel. My personal mission statement is I live to inspire and be inspired. And that all boils down, every bit of it just boils down to love. That's where it all comes from.
Okay, we are going to jump a little bit and do shameless self-promotion a little different, because I want everyone to have the opportunity, and it's come to my attention that one of our panelists needs to run. So, keeping that in mind, it is time for... where'd it go? Here it is. Shameless self-promotion. First up, Jessica Dewell.
I like that image. I'm not good at shameless self-promotion, so what I will say is, everybody that is here today, please make sure that you learn more about Leslie and you learn more about Christine, and you take the time to get to know Dennis at a whole different level than you already know Dennis, because each one of them has an amazing story. They each one have their own unique gifts, and I have to tell you, this time here today really has allowed me, oh my gosh, I just want to soak you guys in all day because of how awesome I feel and how much brighter I'm shining because of each one of your lights. So thank you for that. And that is my shameless, selfish promotion is everybody on the panel today.
I gotta say, I don't think that was shameless self-promotion. That was kind of more like shameless other promotion.
How about this? So go find me at jessicadewell.com. I can get today.
There you go. Ping the heck out of her website. Let's get the most viewers she's ever had on that site today. There we go. All right. Well, Jess, thank you so much for joining us. And, feel free to jump back in the comments and take off, because I know you got to run. But we really, really, really appreciate you being here today. You have made this show what it was. All right. You're welcome. and you're imitating Stephanie Sims there. All right, it's time for Shameless Self-Promotion with Christine L. Bowen.
You need an audio clip for that, Dennis. Shameless self-promotion. My call to action is always to connect. I don't lead with my business. I don't lead with what I do. I lead with who I am. And in order for us to connect, we need to know who each other is. So if I'm resonating with you, I'm going to invite you to connect with me at ChristineLBowen.com. If you want to know just a little bit more about what I offer in terms of inspiring others, you can go to ChristineLBowen.com/CLB Live. That way you can catch the latest episode of that Hangout on Air, which Jess was also a part of. It was an absolutely phenomenal conversation on the power of purpose. And if you like what you hear and you feel like you want to reach out, don't be shy. Just click the Let's Connect link at the bottom of the page, okay? If it's not me, I'm going to be like Jess. Reach out to whomever it is that you felt that little something like, I should connect with that person. Follow that voice, because there's some reason that person was placed in your path today. That person for me is Leslie. So I will be reaching out to her post-show. And thank you all for being here and for listening to us.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right.
She's making me cry.
I know, right? These ladies are just fantastic. They are fantastic. Okay, so Shameless Self-Promotion with Leslie Wagstaff Wilson. Take it away.
Thanks, Dennis. I'm still crying. Thank you, Christine and Jess. Before I say this, I just want to, I had a thought I didn't cover when you were talking about receiving as well. One reminder that I learned in a hard way, we'll talk about another time, because I was like you, Christine, where I was just give, and I was never on the receiving end. It was always a lot harder for me to receive. And so through a lesson I had, one of the things I learned was that by receiving, I was doing a great service as well to that person who was giving to me. If I did not allow them to give to me, then I was denying them an opportunity for service. So when you're having a hard time receiving, keep that in mind. So shameless self-promotion. Oh my gosh, I do live workshops, and how I would love to have you guys come to my workshop. It would be so amazing. We'd have an incredible time. My business is Web Ready Blueprint System, and I have to tell you really fast, this came about because there's books I want to write. And this was something I created that would hopefully allow me more time to do that. But I have to really fast share an experience with you where I was sitting. I was so grateful when I had this idea, because it's so needed, and I feel like it's such a service, because there are so many business owners out there that need help with their online presence and just knowing what they need to do and how they can choose the right people and all those different things. But I was sitting on my deck that I told you about one day after I had this idea, and I was starting to develop it and everything, and I was having one of those little moments of thinking, you know, those conversations with God that we have, and I was saying, oh, God, I'm so grateful for this, but I just want to get away from business, and I just want to come from my heart, and I just want to do something meaningful with my life. And it's like he kind of came out and smacked me up the side of the head, and he said, what do you think I'm giving you? This is something where you can be of great service to people that need you, because by helping them develop their online presence in a meaningful way, you are going to help them be able to make their dreams a reality. And so I just wanted to tell that story because it was born of a place of love and service. So I invite anybody who wants to come to this live workshop. I promise you'll have incredible value, and we can have an opportunity to connect in awesome ways. And you can go to webreadyblueprintsystem.com, and all the information's there. So sorry to take so long. It's up to you, Dennis.
No,
your turn.
No problem. Oh, yeah. Okay, wait, one more time. Shameless self-promotion. Okay. Yeah, and I'm actually, the reason Leslie is on here, Leslie and I have been working together on this Web Ready Blueprint system for a while. So definitely come and check out the seminar. The next one is going to be live only in March, but in 2 months we're actually going to be broadcasting at least some portion of it through Hangouts, private Hangouts on air. So you may want to join us for that. If not, come to Salt Lake in March. Best time of the year to go skiing, by the way. Okay. But that wasn't my shameless self-promotion. My shameless self-promotion is now in the stream. I am writing a book, actually, in conjunction with one of the other people that's part of Web Ready Blueprint System, and it's called HOA Business Branding. No, it's not actually printed yet. That is some Photoshop there that you see. But there is a link there in that photo to next week's show. Each week, myself and Jen Foster are getting together, and we're writing the book live on a Hangout on Air. We're going through the chapters that we've figured out, and we are discussing those chapters while we are live on a Hangout on Air. And then we'll take that recording, we'll transcribe it, then we'll edit it, and create the final book. So join us, because you can actually help us write the book. Next Wednesday, 11:32 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on my personal channel. And again, the link is in the show notes already. That's my shameless self-promotion for this week. All right.
Oh, hey, Dennis, can I
Yes.
just interject really fast and just say,
Yes.
you know what? I'm going to set up a promo code for everybody that's watching this that wants to come to the workshop, because I just love you all. So I'm going to set up, what should we call it? What should we call it? Your promo code.
NWRT. NWRT for Network Roundtable.
Okay, so I'm going to set up a code NWRT.
T.
And so if you do decide to come, when you go to the checkout and it says promo code, put that in there, and I will make it a huge discount. Huge. Huge.
Huge. Woohoo! Yay! And that's not even shameless self-promotion anymore. By the way, on the March show,
love.
people that you may know around the Plus, Ammon Johns is going to be talking on SEO and business branding, and Stephanie Sims is going to be talking about how you can afford marketing. What a great thing for Stephanie Sims to talk about. She'll help you find the money so they're going to be part of the show in March, if you can make it. All right. Thank you so much again for being here. Christine, you really have been a fabulous +1 superhero. This has been a great show. Leslie, as nervous as you have been, you rocked this show, girl. Can I tell you? All right.
It's only because such awesome people are on it. I found new sisters today.
You found new sisters. I knew you would with this group. I just knew you would. And there's more sisters to come. So, all right.
Grateful.
One last thing here, our little closing thoughts.
Thanks for watching Network Roundtable this week. I hope you were inspired to pump a little harder. Take the time to subscribe to our YouTube channel and join us here on Google Plus as we continue to talk about core values. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next week.